I woke up slowly, the way you do when your body knows it's weekend and refuses to acknowledge alarms that aren't sounding. The artificial sunlight of the colony habitat was just beginning to filter through my window, casting everything in that soft, golden glow that almost made you forget you were living in a pressurized dome on Mars. Something felt off, though. Wrong weight distribution on the mattress. A warmth that shouldn't be there. I opened my eyes. My alien roommate was in my bed, not beside it. Not near it. In it. Under the covers, facing me, her large amber eyes wide open and staring directly at me from approximately 6 inches away. Jesus! I jerked backward so hard I nearly fell off the bed. Zira, as I'd been calling her for the past 3 months, didn't move. She just kept staring with those unblinking eyes, her chitinous face plates shifting slightly in what I'd learned was the Zilthari equivalent of concern. "Good morning, Jake," she said in her oddly melodious voice, the translator implant rendering her clicking speech into perfect English. "I apologize for startling you." "Zira, what? Why are you in my bed?" I pressed my hand to my chest, feeling my heart hammering. "Is something wrong? Is there an emergency?" "No emergency." She tilted her head, an almost bird-like gesture. Her carapace was a deep emerald green today, which I'd learned meant she was calm. "May I ask you a question?" I sat up, running my hand through my hair, trying to get my brain to catch up with the situation. Zira remained lying down, her forearms tucked against her thorax in what looked like a surprisingly vulnerable position for a species that normally slept standing up. "Yeah, sure, but maybe we could have this conversation in the kitchen, over coffee. I need to ask you here. Now." There was something in her voice I'd never heard before. Uncertainty. "Because if I wait, I will convince myself not to ask, and I need to know." That got my attention. In 3 months of living together, Zira had been nothing but confident, even when she was learning about human customs or struggling with Earth foods. This vulnerability was completely new. "Okay," I said slowly, pulling the blanket up slightly and trying very hard not to think about the fact that I was only wearing boxers and a t-shirt. "What do you need to know?" She was quiet for a long moment, her antennae twitching. "Why do humans sleep together?" "I'm sorry, what?" "When humans form pair bonds, they share sleeping spaces. I've observed this in entertainment media. I've read about it in cultural databases, but I don't understand why." Her head tilted the other way. "Sleep is when you are most vulnerable. It's when your body repairs itself, when your consciousness diminishes. Why would humans choose to be vulnerable with another person?" I blinked, trying to process the question. "Well, it's about trust, I guess, and intimacy, not just physical intimacy," I added quickly, seeing her antennae perk up. "Emotional intimacy, choosing to be vulnerable with someone because you trust them completely. But that seems counterintuitive from a survival standpoint." "Maybe, but humans aren't always logical about relationships. We're social creatures. We need connection, closeness. Sleeping next to someone you care about, it makes you feel safe, even though logically you're both more vulnerable." Zira's carapace shifted to a deeper blue-green, a color I'd started associating with deep thought. "The Zilthari don't do this. We have mating bonds, yes, but we maintain separate rest cycles. To share space during dormancy would be considered unusual, potentially inappropriate." "Different species, different customs," I said, though I was starting to wonder where this conversation was going. "Is this what you came in here to ask, about human sleeping habits?" "No." She finally moved, sitting up in a fluid motion that always reminded me how different her physiology was from mine. She had to rearrange her forearms, two tucking against her sides, two folding in her lap. I came to ask if you would teach me. Teach you to sleep. Teach me to be human. The words came out in a rush. Or not human, obviously. I will always be Zilthari, but teach me to understand humans better, to understand connection the way you do. I stared at her. Zira, I'm not sure I follow. She turned to face me fully, and I noticed for the first time that her usually perfect carapace looked slightly dull, as if she hadn't been taking care of it properly. Jake, do you know why I'm on Mars? Why I volunteered for the Colonial Exchange Program? You said you wanted to study human culture. That's true, but not complete. She looked down at her hands, all four of them. On my world, I'm considered defective. Zilthari are not supposed to be curious about other species. We're not supposed to want connection beyond our own kind. We're certainly not supposed to question the efficiency of our social structures. She made a clicking sound that the translator rendered as a bitter laugh. But I do. I always have. So my clutch family decided the best solution was to send me away, to let me get it out of my system by living among aliens. I'm so sorry, Zira. Don't be. It was the best thing that ever happened to me. She looked up, meeting my eyes, because I got you as a roommate, and in 3 months you've shown me more genuine friendship than I experienced in 20 cycles on my homeworld. I felt my chest tight. Zira, please let me finish. I need to say this. She took a breath, or the Zilthari equivalent. You include me in everything. When you cook, you always make sure there's something I can eat, even though human food is challenging for my digestion. When you watch entertainment media, you always ask if I want to join you. When your friends visit, you introduce me as your friend, not as the alien you're stuck living with. Her carapace was shifting through colors now, blues and greens, and even hints of gold. And yesterday, when that human at the market made the comment about bugs, you didn't hesitate to defend me. That guy was an asshole. Of course I defended you. But you didn't have to. We're just roommates assigned by the Colonial Housing Authority. You owe me nothing beyond basic civility. She leaned forward slightly. Yet you give me friendship. You give me patience when I don't understand human customs. You give me acceptance without requiring me to change who I am. And I realized, I want to understand how to give that back, how to be a friend the way humans are friends. My throat felt tight. Zira, you already are. You're a great friend. But I don't know how to show it in ways you understand. Zilthari friendship is different. It's about shared labor, about efficiency of cooperation. But humans, she gestured around the room, humans hug each other. They sit close together. They laugh at each other's jokes even when they're not funny. They share sleeping spaces because being close to someone they care about makes them feel safe. Her voice softened. And I want to learn how to do those things, not because I'm trying to become human, but because I want to show you that your friendship means everything to me. I didn't know what to say. In 3 months, Zira and I had become close, but I'd always assumed it was just friendly cohabitation. I'd never realized how much it meant to her, how much she was struggling to bridge the gap between our species. Is that why you're in my bed? I asked softly. You're trying to learn about human closeness. Yes, but I'm doing it wrong, aren't I? I should have asked permission first. I should have explained. I just thought if I experienced it, I might understand, but now I've just made everything awkward and— Zira, I interrupted gently. You're not doing it wrong, you're just doing it differently. And that's okay. She looked at me, antennae perking up with hope. It is. Yeah, but can I make a suggestion? Please, next time you want to learn about human connection, maybe just ask, instead of surprise appearing in someone's bed at dawn. Her carapace flushed a deep purple that I'd learned meant embarrassment. That would have been more socially appropriate, yes. I couldn't help it. I laughed. And after a moment, Zira made that clicking, chirping sound that was her version of laughter, too. Okay, I said, you want to learn about human friendship and connection. I can teach you, but we're going to start with something less potentially awkward than bed sharing. What did you have in mind? I thought about it for a moment. Have you ever had breakfast with a friend, like actually sat down and had a meal together, not just consumed nutrients efficiently? No, Zilthari typically eat alone to maintain focus on nutrition intake. Well, that's where we're starting. Come on. I climbed out of bed, grabbed a hoodie from my chair. We're making pancakes. Pancakes are the flat, circular breakfast items made from grain slurry. When you describe them like that, they sound terrible. But yes, those. In the kitchen, I walked Zira through the process of making pancakes from scratch. Not because it was more efficient, packaged mixes were faster, but because there was something about the ritual of it that felt important. Mixing ingredients, waiting for the griddle to heat, watching for the bubbles that meant it was time to flip. Why do you do it this way? Zira asked, all four hands occupied with different tasks I'd assigned her. The protein replicator could produce these in seconds. Because it's not just about the food. It's about the time spent making it together, the conversation, the little mistakes like that one pancake that's always weirdly shaped. I pointed to the one currently on the griddle that looked more like an amoeba than a circle. This seems inefficient. Maybe, but it feels good, and sometimes that's more important than efficiency. We sat at the small kitchen table with our stack of pancakes, some perfect, some decidedly not. I showed Zira how to pour syrup, how to cut them into pieces, how to eat slowly and actually taste the food rather than consuming it as fuel. This is pleasant, she said after a while. Inefficient but pleasant. That's the human way, I smiled. Now can I ask you something? Of course. You said you feel defective, but from where I'm sitting, you're not defective at all. You're brave. You left your entire world to pursue something you believed in. You're curious, empathetic, willing to learn. Those aren't defects, Zira. Those are strengths. Her carapace shifted through several colors before settling on a warm gold. You truly believe that? I do. And I think the Zilthari are the ones missing out, not you. She was quiet for a long moment, her antennae drooping in a way that made me think of tears, though I'd never seen a Zilthari cry. On my world, I was always told I was too soft, too interested in others, that I needed to be more focused on the collective, less concerned with individual connections. Well, on Earth, we'd say those qualities make you a good friend, a good person. I paused. Or good Zilthari, I guess. I like that better. She looked up at me. Jake, may I try something else, another human custom? Sure, what is it? She stood up and walked around the table. Then, awkwardly, she wrapped two of her forearms around me in what I realized was her attempt at a hug. It was stiff and uncertain, her carapace hard against my shoulder, but there was something deeply touching about the effort. I hugged her back carefully, mindful of the differences in our anatomy. You're doing great, Zira. This is strange, she said, her voice muffled against my shoulder. But also, nice, I think I understand why humans do this. Yeah, it's communication without words. It's saying you matter to me through physical presence. That's exactly what it is. We spent the rest of the day in what I started thinking of as Friendship 101. I showed her how humans watched movies together, not just consuming content, but commenting, laughing, sharing reactions. How friends cooked together, cleaned together, even did boring errands together because the company made everything better. That evening, as we sat on the couch watching a terrible sci-fi movie and making fun of its inaccurate portrayal of alien species, Zira turned to me. "Jake, thank you for this, for all of it. You don't have to thank me. This is what friends do. But that's exactly why I'm thanking you, because you showed me what friendship could be. Not just cooperation or efficiency, but genuine care, genuine connection." Her carapace was a soft, warm gold in the lamplight. "And you've taught me that being different doesn't mean being defective. It just means finding people who appreciate your differences. For what it's worth, I think you're pretty amazing exactly as you are. May I confess something? Always. When I woke up this morning and came to your room, I was terrified. Terrified you would reject me, that you would think I was too strange, too alien. But you didn't. You saw what I was trying to do, even if I did it badly, and you helped me anyway." She looked at me with those huge amber eyes. "That's the most human thing of all, I think, seeing someone struggling and choosing to help rather than judge." I felt my eyes getting a little misty. "Zira, you're going to make me cry. Is that bad?" "No, it's good. It means I'm feeling something real." She nodded slowly. "Then I'm glad, because you've taught me that feelings, real, messy, inefficient feelings, are what make life worth living." We sat in comfortable silence for a while, watching the terrible movie, shoulders touching in that casual way friends do. And I realized that sometimes the best friendships are the ones that cross the most boundaries, the most differences, the most impossible gulfs. Because in the end, connection isn't about being the same species or even the same kind of person. It's about being willing to bridge the gap, one awkward morning, one stack of pancakes, one imperfect hug at a time. "Hey, Zira. Yes, next time you want to talk about something important, you're still welcome in my room, but maybe knock first." Her carapace flushed purple again, but she was clicking with laughter. "Agreed, that seems like a reasonable human boundary." "Good, now shut up. The alien is about to do something incredibly stupid. They always do in these films. That's what makes them fun." And somewhere between the terrible special effects and our running commentary, I realized I'd found something I never expected on Mars. A friendship that transcended every difference, every barrier, every expectation. All because one brave alien decided to take a chance on connection, even when everything in her culture told her not to. That's not defective. That's extraordinary.